All right, let's get going here. My name is Brooks Gustafson. I'm here in the Financial Aid and Scholarship Office. Talking today is Candace Cross, Director of Scholarships here in our office. Just a few things before we get going. Any questions you have throughout the presentation, shoot to that Q&A function down there at the bottom of your screen. The Q&A will get that directly to the 4 or 5 of us working the chat here today. You'll see FAS at the end of our name, Financial Aid and Scholarship, so you know it's a financial aid and scholarship employee answering those things for you. So if you send it in chat, then that's available for everybody else to see. The Q&A will be the best place for that. But with that being said, Candace is going to talk about some general financial aid things here at the beginning and then jump right into everything else scholarship wise. So with that being said, take it away, Candace.
All right. Thanks, Brooks. And thank you all for joining us this evening. We're excited to get to visit with you a little bit about the scholarship process here at Texas Tech University and hopefully answer some of your questions and walk through some specific dates and details that'll be important for you as you take this next step on your Red Raider journey. Let's see. So the first thing that I want to do, of course, Brooks got us started, and you'll see Brooks around in your adventures here in Raiderland. Brooks is really an integral part of all of our orientation presentations and events here on campus. But I also wanted you to have the opportunity to see the faces of the folks who are supporting you tonight and that make up the scholarship team. Sometimes it's nice to put a face with a name and know who it is behind the scenes that's supporting you. We have an excellent team of 5 individuals that support scholarships all across the university. And we'll talk about how each of them will support you on that journey as we get started. Tonight, we're going to look at a wide range of things that are typically our frequently asked questions. I know that some of you are embarking on your first adventure. Maybe this is your first kiddo to head to college, or as an incoming student, you have a lot of questions. So we're going to see if we can get as many of those answered as possible. We're going to talk, as Brooks mentioned, we'll start out looking at some general financial aid things. We'll talk a little bit about cost of attendance. And we want to make sure that we emphasize FAFSA submission. And then we'll look into things that are specific to scholarships. So we'll talk about merit programs, how you can be eligible for other scholarships here at the university, what those may require of you as a recipient of scholarship awards, and then talk about some external scholarships that you may want to consider applying for as well. Following tonight's webinar, we'll make sure to post the information and make that available to you, but you are always welcome to reach out to our team. And so this scholarships@ttu.edu is an email address that comes to our team, and we're able to answer those questions as quickly as we can and help out students and parents. And so if you have any follow-up questions after tonight, or you talk about this content over dinner and need some more clarification, we would invite you to just reach out to us using that email, and I'll share it again at the end. So the first thing that I think is important before we jump into the good news of scholarships is really to help understand in-state and out-of-state cost of attendance. And this is one of our most frequently asked questions in the financial aid office, not just here in scholarships. And so what I want you to understand from this slide, first of all, is that cost of attendance is not your bill. This really just helps our families plan for the cost of attending Texas Tech University. So what we're looking at here in the center is really just this column here is going to show us the off-campus cost of attendance, which we use to build budgets for our students, is just over $29,000 per year. That includes tuition and fees for 15 hours of enrollment. And so as a student, you may elect to take less hours, and so that bill would be less, or you may come in and be really confident and ready to take over 15 hours, and so that bill may be a little bit more. Something to keep in mind is that tuition and fees, as well as housing, if you're living in the dorm and your meal plan, those are things that we will bill you for through Student Business Services. However, the other things that we include in cost of attendance, like your textbooks, transportation, maybe to or from Lubbock, and other miscellaneous expenses are not things that we bill for. We just want you to plan accordingly and have the resources you need available to make the most of your time here in Lubbock. We're going to talk about different types of scholarships tonight, and those can all be combined with other types of aid and other scholarships. However, it is important to keep in the back of your mind that in financial aid, we cannot exceed the cost of attendance when we're awarding our student. And so sometimes we do have students, it's every parent's dream to have a student who has received a full financial aid package and maybe they've got grants and waivers and some scholarships. And so in that instance, we do have to work with our families to ensure we are not exceeding the cost of attendance. And so that's on a student by student basis, but I do want to throw that out there as we start talking about different types of aid and how those can all be combined for you. Our out-of-state cost of attendance is a little bit higher, and you'll see that the difference here is all wrapped up in a difference in tuition and fees. However, students who are scholarship recipients here at the university may be eligible for a competitive waiver, and that allows our out-of-state students to pay the in-state tuition rate. And so we're going to look at that together. We're going to talk about how you qualify for that and how that $1,000 scholarship really is a much higher value for your family. The next thing that I really want to talk about with you is FAFSA submission. And so some of you may have heard horror stories from last year. Maybe you had older friends who are seniors or parents who were navigating FAFSA. And so we did all go through FAFSA simplification together last year. And it was challenging. This year, we're expecting FAFSA to open on December 1st, and we encourage you to get that ball rolling as quickly as you can for a number of reasons. While tonight's presentation, we're really looking at scholarships. FAFSA is not required for all of the scholarships that we offer. However, we want students to maximize their eligibility for aid. Some scholarships may require that students submit the FAFSA, but they don't have to necessarily demonstrate financial need, but they do require that submission. Of course, we have scholarships that are merit-based and don't consider that at all, but we do have some that are need-based. And so our recommendation is go ahead and get that submitted as soon as you can so that you can take advantage of every funding source that's available to you. I will let you know that I piloted with my own family the FAFSA submission a couple nights ago, and it took us about 20 minutes. And so I know that that's not everyone's experience, but I do feel like it's going to be a much more positive route this year. All right. Moving into our world, which is the world of scholarships. So we're going to take a look at University Merit Awards. The cool thing about our merit program is that these are automatically awarded for your student. These don't require any further action, and these scholarships do not require a separate application. These are awarded upon admission to the university. And so we'll look at all of those levels, but I want you to hear these are automatic awards, and these will be presented to your student within a day or two after their admission decision. And so we're working to ensure that that communication comes to you quickly. You receive your admission confirmation email, and then you're notified of your merit award and what that's going to be for you. So the first thing that we want to talk about with our Presidential Merit Scholarships for first-time enrolling students is that you can choose to be awarded one of two ways. You can be a test optional admit to Texas Tech, and therefore you fall into our test optional ranges for scholarships, or you can use those ACT and SAT tests. I do want you to understand that once you're admitted to the university, you can't change the decision. So we're going to look at the intricacies of that chart. We'll provide you a link to that chart so you can talk about that as a family. It's okay if you have applied to the university, if you want to change that decision, but once you're formally admitted, you cannot change that decision. Our merit scholarships are all based on your unweighted GPA, which is calculated by our admissions office. We work very closely with them. We get to office together in the same building, but that is a value that is provided to our office. We don't manipulate transcripts or GPAs here in the scholarship office. So this is our presidential merit model. And basically, you'll see that across the top of the model, each column represents a different GPA range. Along the side of the model, you'll see that this is where we correlate those GPA ranges to your test score, or the bottom row you'll see indicates those students who are test optional. And so with this, we want to make sure that our model is transparent. We want, as a family and considering your options, we want you to have all of the information to decide what is best for you. We'll talk a little bit about how to maximize that award throughout your senior year, but we want you to be able to consider options regarding maybe retesting based on these ranges. And one thing I want to share with you here is that these are renewable awards. They do have some renewal requirements, which you'll see in that bottom corner. We will talk more specifically about those. And I also want to add that if you apply and are admitted as a test optional student, you'll see a little asterisk out beside those values. That just indicates that if you end in the top 10% of your class, you can also receive an additional $1,000 bonus on top of that award amount. And so keep this chart in mind. We will share the link with you so that you can review it again as a family. But we want you to have all of the information you need to make the best decision for your student. We provide presidential merit upgrades, and there are a couple of reasons when you might want to do that. And so again, in the spirit of maximizing your award, we provide upgrades through April 1st. And so a couple of things that may happen for your student ahead of time could include a change in GPA or a change in test score. You may submit an updated transcript at any time. And so what we understand is that most of you applied to the university following the end of your junior year. And so you provided us with that transcript. We do know that there may be changes since you applied. Even a first semester, even in your senior year, you may see that GPA increase, and you're always welcome to submit a new transcript to our admissions office so that we can recalculate that award based on the GPA that you've submitted at that time. Another thing I think is really cool is that you could increase your scholarship amount based on your test score. Some of you may be familiar with a super score. And so Texas Tech uses a super score. And basically what that means is that we combine the best part of any test administration you've taken. And so let's say that you've taken the ACT and you had a 570 in reading and you felt really good about that part, but your math score came in a little bit lower. Then we might encourage you to retake that test and see if you can increase the math score. We'll use the score from your first administration for reading, and we can use the score from the second administration for math. And so again, it's the benefit for the student is to allow us to take the best parts of both administrations. Again, just to remind you, the deadline for those upgrades is April 1st. So we want to make sure if you're going to submit a new transcript after the first semester, make sure you visit with your counselor at school and have them get that sent in to us. Also, if you're looking at whether or not you want to retake the SAT or ACT, just make sure you take it early enough that those scores will be provided to our office in time to process that upgrade. Let's talk a little bit about renewal requirements. Presidential Merit Scholarships are renewable awards. And so what we're providing you on that chart is the award for 1 year. And that is renewable for 4 years or 8 semesters of scholarship funding. One thing I think is really great about this is that our students who come in with maybe they have dual credit classes or they have some credit from AP coursework, they're able to really maximize their funding. So let's say your student comes in with 30 hours and they start as a sophomore. We want them to be able to utilize all 4 years of their scholarship. And so if they continue in graduate school here at Texas Tech, we are able to provide that last 2 semesters of funding toward the beginning of their graduate work. That also transfers to our law school. We're not able to transfer that to the Health Sciences Center at this time, but we certainly want to provide as much flexibility as we can to our Texas Tech students so that they can take advantage of their full award. In order to renew that scholarship, you're going to look at 2 different parts, 2 different requirements. So one of those is that our merit scholarship for our first-time students, those require 30 hours here at Texas Tech per year. We're going to remind you of this. This is, again, one of those like top 10 questions we get, but I want to go ahead and mention it now. Those hours can be accumulated through the entire academic year. So that may be fall hours and spring hours plus summer hours. We don't want our students coming in as a freshman who are learning how to adult independently and live on campus and time management and all those things to feel like they have to take 15 hours in that first term. You could certainly come in and take 12 hours and then do another 12 or 15 in the spring and then loop on those remaining hours in the summer. We will remind you. We send out a courtesy reminder at the end of the spring semester and let you know, hey, we have a requirement for 30 hours. You might consider summer enrollment so that you can meet that minimum requirement. There's often a summer bonus we'll talk a little bit more about. And so while we don't pay your merit scholarship in the summer, the president of the university has extended a summer bonus for several years. And so that offsets that summer enrollment cost for you. Additionally, there's a GPA requirement. And so the cumulative TTU GPA depends upon the amount of your scholarship. And so that's provided for you dollar ranges and that cumulative GPA that you maintain in order to renew your scholarship. I will tell you that sometimes we understand that students get to Lubbock and as I mentioned, they're managing their time, they're getting to class, often working a job. And so we understand that things happen, that there are sometimes special circumstances or extenuating circumstances. In that event, we will work with students to provide an opportunity for appeals process or a probation process. We want your student to be successful here at Texas Tech. And so we will come alongside you and your family and your student and work with you to ensure that we are helping them be successful. I also want to mention that sometimes we do have families who look at maybe a dollar amount and say, man, that is going to be that maybe that 3.5 GPA is going to be really difficult for my student. And so we are able to reduce a scholarship amount so that the GPA requirement can also be reduced. And so in the event that that's a decision you make as a family, you can reach out to our office and we're happy to have that conversation with you and help you make a decision that's best for your student. The next thing I want to talk about, I know that the majority of our guests here tonight are probably first-time students, but we often get some questions about our transfer programs, and we have really great transfer merit programs as well. And so I want to take a look at that. However, just underscoring the fact that if you're a senior and you're graduating from school with those dual credit hours, or you have AP hours, we're going to carry you through that freshman presidential merit program. This would be students who have attended a community college and are bringing hours in because they've already attended an institution of higher learning, some post-secondary work. So this is a little bit simpler. It's not as difficult. You don't have to run your fingers across the chart. When we're talking about transfer merit scholarships, we have two levels, and those are based on two things: the number of transferable hours that you will be bringing to Texas Tech and the GPA that you earned from that institution. And so if you have 30 hours and a 3.0 GPA, then that award is $3,000 per year. If you're bringing more 60 hours and you have a 3.5 GPA, then that award is $4,000 per year. These awards are also renewable for 3 years or 6 semesters. And as you see, those have some renewal requirements as well. When we're looking at renewal requirements for our transfer students, we're talking about full-time enrollment. And so one thing that's interesting, that's going to be a little bit different, but the good news is we have to remember it and you don't. Transfer students that are coming in have to be enrolled full-time. So we're looking at 12 hours per term. So this is different than the 30 per year. We're looking at 12 hours in the fall and the spring. If you're at that $3,000 level, that requires a 3.0 GPA, and the $4,000 level requires a 3.25 GPA. Again, the same process with appeals. And so if you get to Tech and you get settled in here and have a semester that's a little more difficult for you or your family, then we'll definitely work with you. Now I'd like to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about college and department awards. One thing that is great is that our students who are applying to the university do not have a separate scholarship application. Your application for admission to the university is your scholarship application. Our continuing students, they submit one application once per year, and we open that in October. We close that in February, hoping that that gives students plenty of time over the Thanksgiving break and Christmas break to complete that application. This one application makes you eligible for all of your college and department awards, so you don't need to seek those out individually. And based on the review of those applications when you're a continuing student, or based on the information from your admissions application, colleges and departments are encouraged to begin awarding scholarships from their offices as soon as possible. And so one thing to mention, our merit scholarships, we've already been awarding those for about a month now. And so you will see, or you will, receive communication about your merit scholarship, but our colleges and departments have not begun recruitment yet. And so we are meeting with them to help review students who are coming in and talk about how they want to make those awards. And so we anticipate that those will begin in early spring, typically around February, but you may see awards that are added to your financial aid package even into the summer. We have a lot of students who apply, and then sometimes plans change. And so the great thing is that if we have another student who's received an award and is unable to accept that, then we can re-award that scholarship to another student. And so we hope that those awards start coming in February, but we don't want you to lose hope in the spring. Know that those awards can continue being added to your account through the summer. There are also other awards. So I mentioned that we often have summer scholarships. In my experience, one of the great things that the president provides for our students who are on merit scholarships is a summer bonus. And that is typically $1,000, which is almost enough to cover one class. And so that will be extended. Students who are close to graduation may also qualify for a special award, trying to help them finalize those last few hours so that they can graduate in August or December. We also sometimes offer a bonus for students who are taking classes online or at some of our regional locations. These do not require separate applications, but they are awarded on a first registered, first awarded basis, where our office is given a budget for those scholarships in the summer. And so as soon as we start seeing students that are registered for those summer classes, then we start applying that scholarship. And so it certainly serves you to go ahead and get registered for those courses once we communicate that summer scholarships will be available. There are often specific scholarships that are available, maybe a little further into your educational journey for study abroad. Typically, those are administered by your specific college and department, and they may require additional action by the student. So you may need to provide some additional information whenever that seems to be a route that you're going to take. And that way they can work with you on what study abroad costs and what funds are available through your college or department to help make that a manageable expense for your family. I do want to underscore here and in a few different places to always make sure to monitor your Texas Tech email. So any communication that we send out will go to your Texas Tech email, whether that's about summer scholarships that are opening up, other aid opportunities, or even that initial merit offer is going to be going to your Texas Tech email. So make sure you're monitoring that. I know it's hard to have to keep up with multiple accounts, but that's going to be your best source for updated information. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is what some of your scholarships may require here at Texas Tech University. One thing that has been a recent change for us, so if you have an older child maybe that's come through Tech, or a sibling that's told you about their scholarships or their process here, all of our university awards are now provided to our students as accepted offers. We don't want our students have to log in and take any other steps to receive that aid money. And so merit awards that we're providing for you, or any other competitive university scholarship we award, will go on as an accepted award. However, colleges and departments may want you to log in and accept their award. We will provide you with instructions at that time, and that availability should be open to students in early December, right in line, just in time for those colleges and departments to be awarding really great recruitment scholarships so that we can get you guys here to Lubbock. Sometimes we have scholarships that are tied to a specific donor. In the event of our Presidential Merit Awards, those are institutional scholarships. And so we don't require a thank you letter for those scholarships. We were really excited to have 80% of our freshman class this year receive a merit scholarship. But we did not need all of those thank you letters here in our office or in the president's office. However, if you receive an award that is tied to a specific donor, then they often do request that you submit a thank you letter. Those are an electronic submission. It's a fairly painless process. And again, we'll provide you with the instructions if that's the case. If we don't reach out to you and request that thank you letter, then rest assured that those monies being deposited into your account are institutional dollars and just a gift to you. Some awards may require the completion of a state aid form, and we'll look at an instance of that in a minute. But there are some events where a scholarship offered from our office is part of state funding. And so as a requirement in the state of Texas, you need to complete a state aid form. And that may just ask questions about your registration for selective service or other certifications. That is not required for all of them. But again, that may be a quick form, 3 or 4 questions that we need you to complete electronically. Some specific programs, it may be a program within the university or your college or department, may require your attendance at a donor event or another function. For those of you who are going to be students in the Davis College of Ag Science, they have a really great event every year for their scholarship recipients that they call their pig roast, and their students are required to attend. It's a really great way to foster community and to help our donors see the impact they're making here at the university. And so understand that there may be times when we ask you to get cleaned up and come to dinner with some donors, because we really want to brag on you and what you're accomplishing here at Texas Tech. You may be sometimes invited to meet a donor for your scholarship award. Sometimes there are really cool opportunities that present themselves. Perhaps a scholarship is a memorial scholarship in memory of a former Red Raider. And we sometimes have opportunities where their family is traveling to town and they want to meet the student they're getting to support that is part of their child's legacy. And so we do sometimes try to coordinate those events. You're never obligated to do that, but we will always reach out to you with opportunities to share your story and meet the folks who are really supporting you here at Tech. Some requirements, such as your thank you letter and the requirement of that state aid form, have to be completed before we can disperse the funds. We will let you know, we will email you, we will provide you with a link, we'll provide you with a reminder, but just something to kind of put in the back of your mind that these requirements must be met before we can actually apply that funding towards your bill. And so our thank you letter system opens up early. We provide plenty of time. We shouldn't get to a deadline, but moms and dads, I'm going to talk to you for a second about this. We sometimes have, not sometimes, every year, we have thousands of dollars that don't get paid out because students won't complete a thank you letter. And so I know as you're raising really great humans and you're preparing them to do all the great things in the world, that's a really good conversation to have too, is, make sure that they take the time to write that thank you letter so that we can get those funds applied for them. Okay, competitive waivers. So if you're an out-of-state student, this section is completely for you. And this is really exciting because within the state of Texas, we provide, it's a competitive waiver. Texas Tech does that, but it's through the state of Texas because we want really great students at our universities, really great Texans, but we're not opposed to snagging some really great kids from other places too. And so there are a few requirements. One requirement is that you must receive one scholarship of at least $1,000. Looking at the chart, I know we didn't really dissect that all together, but the minimum award we provide for a merit scholarship is $1,000. So we'll get you over the hump. As I mentioned, this year's freshman class, 80% of those students received a merit scholarship. And so we feel really confident that a lot of our students will receive that $1,000 as part of the merit program and be eligible for the waiver. Students have to have competed with other students, including Texas residents, in order to receive the waiver. And so in the event of our merit scholarships, those are competitive. They're based on your test score, your GPA, your class rank. Within the college or department, their awards also count. And those are also competitive scholarships because they're comparing the information you provided with your admission application, and they're selecting you based on the criteria for that scholarship as the best recipient for that award. Finally, as I mentioned earlier, a rule with the state of Texas is you must complete a selective service registration form. And so those things have to happen before we can apply that waiver for you to make you eligible for that waiver. And the great thing is that waiver then applies for an entire year. And so you'll pay the in-state tuition rate for fall and spring, and are also eligible to receive that in the summer if you apply and take summer classes. So that waiver stands for a whole year. Again, that really increases the value of that $1,000 scholarship if you live outside the state of Texas. Waivers are applied to your account once you register, and then they update in order to reflect the in-state tuition rates. Scholarships are then applied to your balance after that waiver is applied, and it does not require any further action from the student. You don't have to reach out to us and say, hey, I live in Oklahoma. I got $1,000 scholarship. What do I do next? We will take care of that automatically for you. And so there's no action. There's no form to be completed. We ensure that that gets squared away with our friends over in Student Business Services. All right. So another really great source of scholarship funding for you is in external scholarships. And so I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the process of applying for those and how we add that aid to your financial aid package, and give you a few ideas about programs that you may want to apply for as well. Our external scholarship awards are processed here in our scholarship office. Nikki Nordell is our financial analyst, and she processes all of our external scholarships. That makes for some pretty busy mail seasons for us, but it is wonderful to see the great things our students are accomplishing. And so we can always support you in getting those processed if you have any questions. We will send out a link in the spring and ask you to report external scholarship awards. What that really does for us is it allows our team to go in and add a placeholder for that scholarship. Because what we want to do when we build out that financial aid package for you, we receive your FAFSA, we want to go ahead and start with all of your scholarships first. And then, we'll make sure that we get those grants in there, and then we'll see what space is left. What we don't want to do is to go in and offer large loan amounts and then come back and add in scholarships and have to go in and make a ton of adjustments to those loan amounts or other aid amounts, because that slows down the process of getting that aid dispersed to you. If you remember back that first slide when we talked about cost of attendance, for our students who are in-state students, we're looking at $29,086. And so if you help us understand the scholarships that will be coming into our office, we can just go ahead and put a placeholder in there, and it makes it much cleaner for you as a student so that we can get it applied to your bill much quicker. Here is the address for mailing those scholarship checks. We will email this to you. We will post it on our website. But I just wanted you to know, sometimes a donor will mail those checks directly to us. That's great. That's wonderful. We love getting to do that. Students can drop checks off to us if they've received them at home. That's not a problem either. They can bring them to us here in West Hall, or if you have a check, you can mail it into our office. If you have a donor who asks, how they need to make that check out, if they make that out to Texas Tech University, we can endorse it. I will tell you, typically what happens, summers are so busy with external checks, but our turnaround time is usually 24 to 48 hours once we receive our check in our office. Our team may be small, but they are mighty. And so once they mail those checks in, we get those opened up, we get it matched to your R number, we get that applied to your account, and then you see that posted, like I said, within a day or two. But one thing that'll hang that up a little bit, that'll slow us down, sometimes we have a donor that'll make a check out to Texas Tech and to the student. So maybe they made it out to Texas Tech University and Candace Cross. not a problem. One of the girls here in our office will shoot you an email again to your Texas Tech email address and let you know that we've received a check, and that you need to come by our office and just endorse that. We can't deposit it until that happens. And so in the event that we get a check on your behalf and that's the case, we'll let you know. But again, one more reason you want to watch that Texas Tech email, and be looking if you're anticipating that you have external scholarships that will be coming to you. There are a couple of really great opportunities for our Red Raiders in the sense of external scholarships. We're going to talk about lots of great programs specific to Texas Tech. The Texas Tech Parents Association and Alumni Association are incredible friends of our current students. One really nice thing about both of these organizations is that you are not required to be a member of either organization in order to apply or to be awarded. So parents, I don't want you to feel like you have to join either organization or that you can't have your child apply because you're not an alumni of Texas Tech. That is not the case. These are really great organizations that just do what's best for students. As you'll see, those applications will open a little later this year, or early next year, I should say. January 1st for the Parents Association, February 1st for the Alumni Association, but really just both great organizations. You want to take the time to apply for those, because they provide a ton of support for our students. Thinking about some other places to apply for scholarships, the first thing I would recommend is just within your local community. You want to really take advantage of everything that your community has to offer. It may be your local Lions Club. Most of our schools now have foundations. Your district has a foundation. Maybe it's through 4-H or FFA. Maybe it's through your church. But keep a sense of what all is available in your community. And as a student, it may be difficult when you're looking at a cost of attendance around $29,000 to look at a scholarship that's $500 and say, that might not be worth it. I would encourage you to apply for every scholarships, especially those that are specific to your community, because those awards add up. And we have the mail to prove it. We have students who can get their entire year funded $500 at a time. And we get to know those kiddos, we get to recognize their names. And so it's absolutely doable. And filling that out or writing that essay is really one of the best part-time jobs you'll ever have. If you take 30 minutes or an hour, you fill out the application and you get that $500 scholarship, that's a really great payoff. So community, best place to start looking for those scholarships. And then a few things that are available online. College Board, that is the company that oversees SAT, they also have a program called Big Future. It's a really great search engine. They give away scholarships, but they help you connect with other scholarships that are available. Finaid.org and FastWeb are also really great search tools that can help match you with scholarship opportunities that are available to you. We were just laughing last week about scholarships that are out there for things that you've never heard of. I'm left-handed, and so Nikki said, hey, we could apply for the left-handed scholarship. Of course, different career interests, different hobbies, all sorts of things are available. And I know it's so daunting as a senior, filling out one more form, writing one more essay, submitting one more letter of recommendation. But I encourage you to dig deep into some of these search tools and keep filling those applications out. Mom and Dad will thank you, and it really does make a big difference. We have a couple of foundations that we work really closely with. And so one of those is the Terry Foundation. And if you have attended events here on campus, you may have received information about that. Or if you've been to some of our events off campus, some of our roadshow events or top scholar events, we try to promote the Terry Foundation. So this is a comprehensive, mom and dad, comprehensive scholarship program. The Terry Foundation is housed in Houston, and they partner with a number of organizations. And so it provides students with a full ride, full cost of attendance. And it's a really great program because not only is it helping pay tuition, but it really develops great leaders. They do community service. They have a student organization. They participate in intramural sports together. And so the Terry Foundation is something you definitely want to take a look at and see if you want to submit the application. The application is open now, but you have to be admitted to Texas Tech before you can submit that application. We have a new partnership that we started this year. We have our first group of students that are TOMA scholars. And so the TOMA program really looks at students who are from rural areas in Texas, also in the Oklahoma Panhandle, and in eastern New Mexico. So this is a little more specific, where the Terry Foundation is going to be broad and open to students from all over. This scholarship is more specific, but if you live in those regions, then it is definitely worth looking up the TOMA Scholar Program. You can Google TTU TOMA Scholars, and we can get you to that link, or you can look up the TOMA Foundation. Again, this is another comprehensive scholarship program, and so these students are also participating in leadership development and are able to really create a neat sense of community. And so Texas Tech launched TOMA Scholars, and that's now spreading to some other institutions. And so, again, if you live in those regions, then that is a foundation or a scholarship that you want to look into as well. One more thing that I want to leave you with before we leave, really, mom and dad, this kind of bounces back to you, is how exactly does that aid or those scholarships, how is that going to get applied to my bill? And so I want you to hear a little bit about the timeline and feel confident as you go into the summer. Toward the end of July, bills are posted for the first time. At that point, when you come to orientation here at Tech, you'll get registered for classes. And so toward the end of July, we're able to generate the first bill for you. As a change this year, we're excited because we're hoping that first bill will also include your aid package. That didn't happen in the past. You got a bill, and that was kind of concerning because it didn't include scholarships and grants and other aid that you'll be receiving. But what we hope is that this year, when you receive the bill, you will be able to see the aid and go ahead and see where you stand. All financial aid is dispersed and is applied to the bill 10 days before the first day of class. That includes your scholarships and your grants. And so when you get that bill a little earlier, it can kind of make you nervous. You see a bill and you want to know when those other funds are going to be applied. So every semester, fall, spring, summer, we will apply the aid before the first day of classes, but it does come a little bit later than the bill. So I don't want anybody to have a panic moment. And if you do, that's fine. We're here to answer those questions at that time. But I feel like that's a pretty important thing for parents to know too. About a week later, the first payment is due. And so you'll get a bill. You'll see all of your aid applied to the bill, and then you'll have time to get ready for that first payment. We do have payment plans that are available through Student Business Services. Our office doesn't oversee those plans, but we work closely with those folks who do. And so we can always help our students as you're arriving on campus and when you have questions to help you set up a payment plan if that's something you need to do at that time. The last thing I really want to do is just thank you for attending tonight. I want to leave you again one more time with email addresses that may be helpful to you. So again, our scholarship office, we have one general email address so that we can all support you and provide information. I've also provided the email address for our financial aid office. Again, we're great partners together, but you may have a question about a loan or a question about other aid or what you may need to look at. And so you can always reach out to a financial aid advisor. Using that email address, they'll get you connected with your assigned advisor. And then again, if you have any questions about your GPA, you're looking at the chart, you don't feel like that GPA matches your award amount, then you can always reach out to admissions and have them take another look at the GPA. But this should make sure that you can stay connected with us even after the evening. So, Brooks, how's it going on your side?
Hello. Yeah, there's a few things, some few common questions that we were getting throughout that probably wouldn't hurt to address here. One of the things we talked about, or we were getting a lot of questions about, is within our freshman merit, our presidential merit program. You can apply right now with the test scores you have. If you know that you're taking a test in a couple of weeks, submit. If you want to apply today, submit what you have. Submit your second test scores once you get those back. I don't want you having to push your application date back, missing some important dates, those kind of things, just because you're waiting on one more score. Apply with what you have today. Get those things, the second, third score that you have, submit those when you get them in. But don't let that hold up your admissions process. Send that to us. Send that to us now. Another thing we got a lot of questions about. Yes, this is going to be posted. This is being recorded. We will post this on our website. The webinar, so us talking, us answering questions, all those things will be included right in there, not just the slideshow. We had a lot of individual questions about like, hey, I think I fall into this group instead of what I've awarded, which is this group. This scholarship email, that scholarships@ttu.edu, is a great place to send those. They can go in and look at what scholarship awards, what test scores we have, what transcript GPAs we have on file. We can go through and review those. It's just hard to do that individually in a setting like this. So if you have individual questions about your awards, you think it should be more, or you haven't seen it yet, what's going on, send that to that scholarships email address. That's going to be the best place to do that. So we've had a few Terry Foundation questions. That application, I looked it up. I wasn't sure. You can find that on our website. The Terry Foundation is built right in with our scholarship website. So all the important due dates, the Terry Foundation has a really good website. Everything that you need to know about the Terry Foundation is built right into that. So absolutely. I guess we'll give it a few more minutes for some last minute questions if any of you have them. If not, thank you for coming today. We'll probably give it 3 or 4 more minutes. But thank you for coming today, asking your questions that you have. Got a basketball game to watch.
Yeah. Who are we playing, Brooks?
We're playing Bethune-Cookman, I believe. A small school. Hopefully we win tonight. Hopefully we're 1-0.
That's great.
Wake up tomorrow morning. Yeah, absolutely. The women's basketball team started 1-0 yesterday. Hopefully the men can start 1-0.
Hey Brooks, can we remind everybody that if they're going to send an email to one of our office emails to make sure to include their R number as well?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
your
there
name.
is also a request to go back to the merit scholarship slide if you can, Candace.
Sure. Absolutely. We can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Include your TTUR number. It's that, 9-digit number, 8-digit number, starting with an R. So R120 is usually what that's going to be for.
I know. I couldn't believe it. This class is R120. When I saw that flip over it,
Yeah,
little things.
Absolutely. This grid here is all over our scholarship website. So if you're taking pictures or need additional information about this, you can find it right there on our website. Got 1 or 2 more questions. Just to plug the next one, we're going to do another one of these in December. Be on the lookout for that. We're going to talk about FAFSA. We're going to talk about TASFA if you qualify for that. I think that is the first week of December. The same place you sign up for this one will be where you sign up for that one in a couple weeks, 3 or 4 weeks from now. So make sure you're signing up for that. If you enjoyed this, we're going to do something similar. We're going to dive deeper into the FAFSA. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for coming today. We're going to get this. We've got 2 more questions here. We're going to get answered, and then we will close her out so we can go watch some Texas Tech basketball.
That's right. Thank you all for joining us tonight and spending part of your evening with us. As Brooke said, feel free to reach out to us. And as Nikki added, throw that R number in there. And we look forward to serving you and seeing you and your students on campus soon.
Welcome.